Hi, welcome back to ritzyventurez. This is the 5th episode of my Vietnam series. That's the picturesque Hon Kiam Lake in Hanoi. Yes, this vlog is from Vietnam's capital city, Hanoi. Just the previous night, I had landed from Da Nang to Hanoi, taking an hour and a 20 minutes long flight. In Hanoi, I decided to stay in the old quarters as it is in the heart of Hanoi and you get to feel the pulse of Hanoi's busy street life in the old quarters. But before I proceed further, kindly like and subscribe to the channel and do watch the previous episodes of my Vietnam series to find out how I went about exploring Hoi An, Bana Hills and Da Nang. With that, let's start episode number 5, a day spent exploring Hanoi. Hanoi is located in northern Vietnam. Hanoi is one of the oldest capitals in the world, dating back to at least 1,000 years. Despite centuries of French and Chinese influence, Hanoi has retained its intrinsic Vietnamese cultural and historical heritage. Hanoi means city inside rivers. Hanoi is built on the banks of the Red River. Hanoi is the gateway for several travelers to see the Halong Bay. However, there is plenty to experience in Hanoi, requiring at least a day or two to explore. Hanoi offers visitors a rich tapestry of experience. It is known as much for its historical landmarks as for its exquisitely carved temples, delectable cuisine, vibrant street, marvelous architecture, and its rich cultural heritage. I made a lazy start to my first day in Hanoi by just strolling around the Hoi An Kiam Lake. It was a perfect way to relax after 3 days of hectic traveling. The lake is an oasis of tranquility in a bustling city. Let me tell you a little more about the lake. So Hoi An Kiam Lake is a freshwater lake. It is also known as the Sword Lake. It is linked with the legend of a king returning a magical sword to the turtle deity. You can spend hours here by the lake by just sitting, admiring the beauty of nature. You can also indulge in a shopping spree and eat to your heart's content, as Vietnam is every foodie's paradise. Do try the banh mi, the ban seo, and the famous Vietnamese egg coffee. Or simply sit by the lake, people gazing. Look at this lady taking a selfie in the middle of the road. Simply amazing. And look at the stunning Hook Bridge, also known as the Red Bridge. It links two of the city's oldest areas, Hoi An Kiam and Jade Mountain Temple. The bridge looks so spectacular in the night. The bridge is made up of wood and shaped in a curved form. It has been built over 150 years ago. During my stay in Hanoi, I would come here every night to have a stroll. I was totally hooked and mesmerized by the Hook Bridge. At the Hoi An Kiam Lake area, this is the Nok Son Temple. This temple is also known as the Jade Mountain Temple. This is Pen Tower inside the temple complex. The tower has a stone feather pen on the top. On the top of this gate is an ink pot. It is said on the morning of 5th of May every year, when the sun rises, the stone feather on the top of the tower casts a shadow on this ink pot. No wonder the temple is believed to bring happiness and wealth to scholars. The temple is dedicated to patron saint of physicians as well as to Trang Hong Dao, a great military commander, and scholar Wang Shuang Di Quan. This turtle inside the glass box inside the temple was one of the turtles living in the lake. This supposedly 500-year-old turtle died 4 decades ago and has been taxidermied. That's the turtle tower which stands out in the middle of the Hoi An Kiam Lake. It is inaccessible though. After the temple visit, it was time for a hearty local meal. Street food in Hanoi is a must for all tourists. It is sumptuous and very affordable. Do sign up for a food tour if time permits. You can book them through your hotel or online. After a delectable and wholesome meal, I hopped into one of these electric vehicles available near the lake to explore the old quarters in a 45 minutes ride. Here the narrow streets are roughly arranged as per the trade. The crowded bylines looked like any other congested city in India, dotted with small shops and pedestrians jostling for space in the pavement to walk. Let me share some details and uniqueness about Hanoi. Hanoi has a population of over 54 lakhs. It is quite chaotic when it comes to the traffic rules. So when you have to cross the road, you have to look on the either side and cross the road. Though there are traffic signals at pedestrian crossing, nobody seems to follow them for the pedestrians. Hanoi has been given the epithet of a two-wheeler city, as motorcycles account for over 90% of the traffic. The houses in old quarters are narrow and are called tube houses. They are known as na ong in Vietnamese. The average width of a house is around 3 to 4 meters. The houses take up less street front, choosing to build inwards and upwards instead. Next, I decided to go for a water puppet show at Thang Lang Water Puppet Theatre, which is just opposite the Hoam Khiam Lake. Your trip to Vietnam is incomplete without watching a water puppet show. I was lucky to get tickets from the counter for the show, but do book your tickets from before during weekends. Water puppet is a unique traditional art form of Vietnam that has existed since 11th century. It used to be a form of entertainment for farmers during the flooding season. When rice fields became deluged, puppeteers will stand in water and use bamboo rods hidden underwater to control wooden puppets. The show is an absolute favorite with children, and don't miss the show during your next trip to Hanoi. Darkness had descended by the time I came out of the water puppet show, but the city seemed to have become more lively in the night. Let's exercise with these lovely ladies. By the way, that's Martyr's monument behind them. It commemorates the Vietnamese soldiers who died fighting for independence. And that's me in front of the same monument on my third day of my visit to Hanoi. Look how gorgeous the lake area looks in the night. The red bridge almost looks like Vivian Lee in her iconic red dress. I went for a night bus tour. It was a double-decker bus with rooftop setting. The journey started from the Opera House. This is an exquisite example of French colonial architecture. The bus took us through important streets and landmarks in Hanoi. That's Ho Chi Minh Mausoleum, the resting place for revolutionary leader and former president Ho Chi Minh. That's the temple of literature. It is dedicated to Confucius. It hosted Vietnam's first national university. Our bus crossed Hoa Lu prison. It was originally used by the French colonists for keeping political prisoners and later by North Vietnam for US prisoners of war during the Vietnam War. That is St. Joseph's Cathedral. It has a neo-Gothic architecture. It was an enjoyable bus ride for me. I do recommend to take it if you haven't seen much of Hanoi due to paucity of time. I want to share about an architectural marvel that I noticed in Hanoi that added to the skyline of the city, much like the Dragon Bridge in Da Nang and the Golden Bridge in Bana Hills. That is Nathan Bridge over Red River. It is Vietnam's longest cable-stayed bridge. It stretches for 8.3 kilometers and is lit with 5 colors each day between 7 and 9 p.m. It links Hanoi City with Noi Bai International Airport. This is also the longest suspension bridge in Vietnam. Post the wonderful bus ride, I started walking towards my hotel. I stopped by to watch this riveting street performance by this ravishing lady. That's the end of this episode. Do like and subscribe to the channel. And in the next episode, do check my trip to Halong Bay, the most compelling reason for me making a trip to Vietnam.